Hey, I'm Hannah, sharing my adventures around the world while working full time. Hey guys, quick life update for you here. So, I actually wasn't planning on being back in the United States at all this year. It had been a couple years since I had been back to the US. I always get asked, do I miss anything or do I go back regularly? No, I don't really miss anything. And no, I don't go back regularly every couple of years. So, I wasn't planning on going to the US and I wasn't planning on filming this video from Maryland, but life had other plans. So, I had to fly home. I'm actually from Maryland on really short notice for a family emergency. So for the moment, I'm here with my family until things settle down. But what I wanted to share here today was a February life update. So it's actually right now the middle of March, but I wanted to share a little bit of what I got up to during the month of February. It was actually a really nice, steady month back in Monterrey before everything suddenly changed and I flew out here in early March. So a little context for you guys before we get into it, a couple of quick notes. First, this is a fake background. I'm staying at my parents' house right now, and my mom is a private person, so we're doing a little virtual background for us today. And if you watched my last video about my January recap, you'll know that I'm trying something a little bit different with this channel this year. So normally my content is a lot of international travel and adventure, but since I don't have any big international trips planned right now, other than being here, but since it's family stuff, I'm not really going to be sharing. I'll start doing monthly life updates. So basically, my idea is to share what a month looks like for a semi nomadic remote worker expat living in Mexico. So the hikes, the routines, random projects, tacos, pets, all the normal parts of life that don't always show up in the travel highlight videos. And if anybody has questions, I can answer those too. So let's get into February. So February was a very steady, grounding, and quietly full month in the best way. There were some big adventure highlights, but nothing too crazy. Mostly a lot of small, everyday pieces of life in Monterrey that really make up the day to day living. So Arturo and I joined a gym and we committed to going twice a week. Obviously, I'm not going there now since I'm here in Maryland, but we did go for several weeks and we get a 6-month membership. So I'm sure we will be back. And for someone like me who's lived a pretty semi nomadic life for years, signing a 6-month gym membership actually feels like a really big commitment. It might sound silly to some of you, but I don't think I've ever had a 6-month gym membership before. So that's a big deal. Arturo does a lot of swimming and he likes to do the aqua aerobics classes. And I've been getting back into yoga, treadmill runs, and the weights. And then we're both loving the steam rooms. So that's been pretty cool. I took about 2 months off after my marathon in December. So it's good to start rebuilding and getting back into those habits. Of course, that's been a little bit derailed here, but I'll pick it back up when I can. We also had some fun outdoor adventures during the month of February. So I got to celebrate my friend Tonio's birthday. We went to a really nice cafe. It's called El Zapote Negro in the it's like in the central area of Monterrey. We went to the hot springs, Termas de San Joaquin. I've made other videos about those before. Really nice way to relax. And we went to my Arturo's La Maranada. We got to talk, Tonio got to try his tacos. So that was a really nice way to celebrate my friend Tonio's birthday a couple weeks ago. And then I went with some friends and we hiked Pico Orcones. I think it was my 3rd time hiking there. So you'll see a vertical video coming out with my new 360 camera, which I'm still getting the hang of. And then another weekend, I think it was the last weekend in January or the first weekend in February, went to La Marta, which is in the state of Coahuila, the nearby state next to Nuevo León. And we hiked through snow and ice. That was the reason we wanted to go there, to see winter, which is not something that you might normally think about in northern Mexico, but we had a really nice day. There's a vertical video on that. And then we spent a couple of Saturday nights hanging out at La Maranada, which is Arturo's taco stand. And they're actually doing pretty well. They are selling each Saturday night, they sell about 30 kilos worth of pork between chicharrón verde, chicharrón morita, carnitas, and matambre, which is a cut of pork that they grill. And they marinate it and they grill it. So tacos and tortas. So yeah, it's nice to see that growing and hopefully that'll continue to do so. So yeah, it's been nice. A lot of my friends have gone to visit and a lot of their friends have gone to visit too and support them. So hopefully that continues to grow. On the pet side, one of the biggest milestones this month was with my pets. I've had my dogs for about 5.5 years. I rescued them off the streets of Mexico and I finally took them to the dog park for the first time ever. I actually didn't know there were dog parks within walking distance of my house. I knew about other dog parks in other parts of the city, but not ones close to my house. So now that I looked them up on the map, I've gone to a couple of different dog parks. Now, my dogs are not necessarily super social with other dogs, but the nice thing about the dog parks in those areas is they're not like heavily trafficked. So there's usually two separate areas. So even if you have your dogs in one area, if other people come, they usually put their dogs in the other area so they can kind of socialize through the fence, but not necessarily be right on top of each other. So that's worked out really well. A lot of the times when I go, not that I've gone that many times, but some of the times when I go, there's really nobody else there. So they just get to run around and be off leash. And I just like that for them because they do a lot of leash walking. So it's nice for them to get to run around and sniff. And then I also have started taking the the cats in their stroller when I take the dogs over to the dog park. So the cats get to hang out nearby in the shade in their stroller. And then the dogs are, walking around and sniffing. So I know that sounds maybe a little ridiculous, but it is nice to be able to take the cats out. And I also got the dogs some new orthopedic beds. There's still a couple more beds I need to replace, but I'm replacing them little by little because they are pretty expensive. So they've been loving their new orthopedic beds, and I got them some toothbrushes. So now I need to just actually remember to brush their teeth consistently. That'll be a very good next step. On the just everyday life front, there were a lot of nice moments. So Arturo and I went for a sushi date. We went for a scooter date. We took out those Lime scooters for the first time, which was really fun. Luis and I went to Brazilian Steakhouse to finally celebrate his birthday from like 2 months ago. And we got Dairy Queen, so that was nice. And then on February 2nd, Daphne and Lupita came over to my house and we had tamales that Daphne's aunt had made. We did this last year also, which is a tradition for the Dia de la Candelaria, traditional day of eating tamales. But that's not what the holiday's for, but that's something that's normally done on that day. Went to Sandra's baby shower. She's getting ready to give birth any day now. And then I did some projects around the house. So I added some solar lights on the porch and stairs. I repotted some of my plants. A couple of my plants have got some kind of parasites. I had to toss them out. I organized some storage bins. And I finally caught up on some of the Instagram posts that I had been wanting to share for a while, like photos from recent adventures and trips and stuff like that. So made some good progress. And then on the personal side, I was very productive. I'm trying to do less instead of like planning and structuring every moment because I'm a very detail-oriented and organized person. I'm trying to leave a little more room to breathe and relax and things like that. So I nearly finished editing one of my books. I have a couple of books that have been kind of in the works for a while now. Just need to be finished up and published. So that's moving forward. Wrapped up a couple of pending projects that I had been needing to get to for my Spanish business. I started making art again. I collected some big leaves and I pressed them and then I started painting. I painted a canvas. I got some different materials to try experimenting with. I got crayons. I got some multicolored colored pencils, like the actual one pencil has like multiple colors in it. I got some markers. I'm not too sure which ones are my preferred methods. I'm kind of just playing around. So it feels really good to be creative. I've been learning how to use my 360 camera on hikes, which has been cool. I'm still getting the hang of it, but it's a pretty neat way to capture some of those really incredible views from the tops of mountains. And a big highlight, after 4 years of legally living in Mexico as a temporary resident, I officially received my Mexican permanent residency, not to be confused with citizenship, but my permanent residency, which is very cool. That feels like a huge, huge milestone. So when I reflect back on the month of February, there wasn't anything wildly dramatic, just a lot of consistency, building routines, fixing little things around the house, reducing stress, spending time with friends, everyday life. So it was a really solid month. So now I want to answer a question from one of my friends. Let me share the question that I got and then the answer that I gave. So I actually got this question, I think, yesterday. And my friend wrote to me. I won't share their name for privacy reasons, but they said, long time no chat. How are things going? I saw you had become a full-fledged Mexican citizen. That is so awesome. I'm reaching out because my partner and I are strongly considering spending a long chunk of time in Mexico, like maybe the next 5 to 10 years. We want to grow our retirement nest egg, and we thought living somewhere we could spend less and still live the lifestyle that we enjoy would be a good way to do so. We're looking at the Lake Chapala area or possibly the Yucatan area. just wanted to touch base with you and see what your thoughts are about relocating, etc. You know me, I want to be outdoors, hiking, mountains, yoga, community, etc. So I said, so nice to hear from you. It has been a long time. And yes, I got my Mexican permanent residency, which has been very exciting. And I told them that's such a cool idea. Living somewhere where you can keep living the lifestyle you enjoy while stretching your savings further can make a huge difference. That's one of the things I love most about being in Mexico is having such a good quality of life. Also, the people are incredibly warm, the culture is vibrant, and of course, the food is amazing. Both Lake Chapala and the Yucatan are really nice options. Lake Chapala is famous for having some of the most moderate weather in the world, which is why so many people, especially foreigners, end up living there. It's also close to Guadalajara, so you still have access to a major city with the infrastructure of the major city and also an international airport. Hiking around that region is also great. It's very green and mountainous. I actually lived in Guadalajara for a little while and did a lot of hiking and even some climbing around that area. The Yucatan is beautiful as well and has a really strong expat community also. But the main thing to consider in the Yucatan is the heat and humidity, which can be intense for much of the year. If you're okay with that climate, though, it can be a wonderful place to live. So if you're seriously considering it, I definitely recommend spending a week or two in each area first, just to get a feel for the vibe, the weather, daily life. It can feel really different once you're actually there for a bit rather than just reading about it online. Another helpful step is joining some local expat Facebook groups or watching a few YouTubers or TikTok creators who live in those areas to give you a good sense of what day-to-day life is actually like. For residency, many retirees qualify for Mexico's temporary or permanent resident visas, which are based on showing sufficient savings or income from outside Mexico. The exact financial requirements change periodically, but the process is generally pretty straightforward if you meet them. I think you guys could really love living here, especially if you're looking for outdoor activities, yoga, and community. If you have any specific questions as you explore the idea, I'm always happy to help. So wanted to share that if that resonates with anyone. I do get these type of questions from time to time from friends. So I just wanted to share my thoughts on that. So that was the month of February. A lot of routine, hikes, tacos, pets, projects, and just building out my life in Monterrey. This new, slower start to the year. And now March has this unexpected turn with me temporarily back here in Maryland. So next few videos might look different for a little while, but I'll keep sharing updates as things unfold. If you have questions about life in Mexico, remote work, or anything else that you're curious about, feel free to drop them in the comments and I can answer them in the next update. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.